My husband, 30M, wants to go on a trip to have one last fun night before we try for kids, saying my past wrongs is the reason. What do I, 29F, do? Husband, 30M, and I, 29F, have been together since high school. A year into the relationship, I regrettably cheated. I was stupid and regretted the whole thing, so I told my now husband, boyfriend at the time, the day right after. Now I'm not saying that me coming out clean makes things easier or better. It didn't. I begged him to forgive me and to stay. For half a year, we were not together. And after 6 months, we decided to try restart our relationship. It took a lot of work and was definitely hard getting through the first few years. But after we healed, years later, we got happily married. Now we are 6 years married, and planning to try for a kid next year. After the terrible ordeal at the start of our dating relationship, we have figured out how to communicate with each other and have built trust. So I don't know if this is because we have such great communication that he expressed this to me before we have a kid. He wants to go on a trip to have one fun night. Mind you, he said something a bit more vulgar, but we have potty mouths naturally. He used my former mistake as reason for this, that he in some way deserves it. Now, I just stood at the sink doing the dishes, speechless. Like, where did all my good communication go in that moment? Because I did not know how to tell him how much I hated the idea. Obviously, I'm desperately in love with this man, and he has been everything to me. Telling me to leave him right off the bat is not advice. Telling me I get what I deserve is not advice. I need help or courage, or both, to speak with him about this matter. How do I approach it? How do I say I don't like it? How do I say no? This may just be my anonymous rant, because I'm too scared to tell my best friend or therapist. So here I am telling strangers. My 24F boyfriend, 24M, wants to move in together, but after we went on a trip, I don't want to. How do I tell him? We have been together for 1 year, but have only spent 1 or 2 nights together continuously, because we have busy schedules. My BF wants me to move in with him ASAP. And I told him I would in a few months, but we went on a trip and I saw a different side to him that I hate. My boyfriend has this hurtful habit of making offensive jokes, specifically about appearance. I feel bad saying this, but my BF is in no position to make comments about appearances. He's pretty overweight, but I don't care and have never mentioned it. He started making jokes about my arms being massive and like Popeye when I was getting ready for dinner. I got upset and started to cry. I felt so insecure. I'm very fit and muscular, and I'm always worried I look masculine, so it's a hurtful spot for me. When I started to cry, he walked out of the hotel and slammed the door behind him and said, "When you're ready, I'll be downstairs." We had a conversation, where he told me he's pissed off that I'm upset, that I can't take a joke and he's sick of having to watch everything he says around me. In the end he promised me he wouldn't comment negatively on my appearance anymore. 2 hours later we were looking at photos, and he says, "Wow, your makeup was actually **** up today." I was really bothered by his behavior on the flight back home. It was only a 5-hour flight, but he was ordering so much food, leaving mess everywhere. He left his AirPods and his suitcase in the overhead locker and expected me to get out and make a hassle and get them out for him. He wasn't even 100% sure they were in there. When I said I don't really feel like waking up the guy next to me to scramble looking for his AirPods, he rolled his eyes and turned his back to me. Here's the real kicker. The flight attendant was giving clear instructions to please buckle seatbelts and turn phones on flight mode, but my BF was blatantly ignoring her and trying to upload selfies on Instagram. I asked him if he could please listen to her, and he completely flipped and said, "Why do you have to piss me off all the time? You're not my mother. I'll do whatever I please. Don't tell me what to do." I was so embarrassed that he said that in public, so I snapped back and said, "Well, stop acting like a child then." My BF replies, "No, you are the child. You don't know anything." I just closed my eyes and tried to nap. I was holding back tears at this point. After 10 minutes, he tried to hold my hand and told me, "You know I love you. I'll always love you. My heart belongs to you." Throughout the trip, I just felt like everything was about what he wanted. On one of the days, I told him it's best if we do our own thing, to which he agreed. We were only apart for 8 hours, but he called me a few times, asking what I was doing. When we met up again, he told me he missed me and was worried about me. He was thinking about me the whole time. For me, it was the complete opposite. Without him I felt peace. Despite all of this, my BF is always kissing me and cuddling me, telling me he loves me. When I went home after we got back from the trip, he said he's so sad to go home without me and he wishes we lived together. But his behavior on this trip turned me off him completely. How do I tell him I don't want to move in? He's going to be hurt, I know it. TLDR, my BF and I plan to move in together in a few months, but his behavior on a trip was horrible and I don't want to move in anymore. How do I tell him? My husband is having a baby with his affair partner. I want him to choose between me and the baby. Am I the asshole? Advice needed. 2 months ago, my husband of 15 years confessed to me that he had been having a year-long affair with a woman he met via a friend. My world was rocked to its core. but he was remorseful and was filled with shame over it. After a week of contemplation on my part and begging on his part, I agreed to reconcile. He went no contact with his affair partner immediately and blocked her everywhere. Reconciliation has been rocky and challenging, and even though he had been doing his best, I was struggling to come to terms with his betrayal. Last week, his affair partner emailed him, through a new account she created because he had blocked her original account, to inform him that she was pregnant with his child. He showed me the email and told me he needed to contact her to find out if any of it was true or if she was just doing this to get him to talk to her. When he unblocked her phone number, she sent him screenshots of her blood work results indicating she was indeed pregnant, as well as a picture of her sonogram. I was shattered, of course. It felt like a whole new act of betrayal, and I kicked him out of the house. My husband and I wanted children and couldn't have them. We tried everything from medications to IVF, but nothing took. So, to learn that he got his affair partner pregnant was yet another blow. She told him she didn't want to keep the baby if he wasn't going to be in the child's life. He admitted to me that he doesn't want her to let go of the baby as it could be his only chance to be a father. I've expressed that I am willing to continue with the reconciliation process with him, but I am in no way going to accept helping him co-parent his child with this woman, because it would mean having this woman in my life forever and that would be torturous. He thinks it is unfair of me to be putting him in a position to have to choose between me and his baby. Aita, edit, skimming through the comments here. To address a few points, as hurtful as it was to learn about his betrayal, yes, I believed with putting in the work, we could save what we had as he was truly remorseful and still is. However, some of the comments did ring true for me. Had he chosen me and our marriage, he would not even entertain the thought of having this child with her. And in no way, shape or form would I ever consider co-parenting his bastard child. I don't understand the many comments suggesting he needs to do right by his child. I know this is a controversial topic for many, but this is a fetus, in my opinion, and not a child. It has not yet come to live, and to be quite honest, what happens to it is not my concern. The fact of the matter is, he is considering having a child with this woman, placing his selfish needs to be a father above me, the woman he took vows with and promised in sickness and in health until death do us part. So, for that reason alone, I won't be leaving it up to him to choose. I will make sure he knows I am no longer an option in this scenario, and will be proceeding with separation and divorce. Edit 2. Am I in the twilight zone? I get cheated on. I forgive him. I find out he fathered a baby with his affair partner. I say I can work on it as long as she terminates and he does not choose to become a father to her fetus. And now I'm the devil incarnate? Yes, it is a fetus right now. If his affair partner has the child and it is born and it exists in the real world, then yes, he should step up and be in its life. And in that case, I would no longer want to be in the picture. But as of right now, it is not here. WTF am I missing? Edit 3. This will be my last edit. I am emotionally and mentally exhausted. I won't be reading or responding to any more comments. Thanks to those who have shared kind words of empathy with me.
Am I the asshole for leaving my wife without a discussion after I found out she cheated? I know that I am not an asshole for leaving a relationship where my partner was unfaithful. That is normal, and I would hope everyone respects themselves enough to get out of that situation. This is a touch more complicated. I fly in, fly out for work. I am currently working a contract in Africa. I work for 8 weeks, then I get 4 off. So basically I'm gone for 2 months and home for 1. I have been doing this kind of work for about 10 years now. I had a house, but I was never there, and it didn't make sense to rent it out since I would not have a place to stay when I needed it. So I sold it. I stayed with my parents and simplified my life to the point where, other than my car and 1 set of formal clothes for weddings, funerals, I could carry everything I own in 1 piece of checked luggage in my carry-on. I met Louise 3 years ago. We hit it off and started dating. She seemed okay with my lifestyle, and it was nice having someone to come home to. We got married last summer. I found out this September she was cheating on me. When I got home this time, I didn't bother leaving the airport. I checked into the hotel for the night and left the next day for Vietnam. I rented a nice place there for my time off and blocked her on everything. I also contacted a lawyer to start a divorce. A few people got a hold of me to see what was going on since she didn't know where I was. I told them that we were getting divorced because she was cheating on me. It happens. I'm sad but not ashamed. I didn't screw up. We never mixed our finances. The only thing that sort of matters is that our apartment was in her name. We wanted to make sure she could take care of everything while I was gone. All our bills were also in her name. Not my credit cards or anything. Just water, power, internet, stuff like that. I would just give her money to pay all the bills. It was good because then she had her salary to pay for herself on everything else she wanted while I was gone. The thing is, she can't afford that apartment on her salary. I'm back in Africa and won't be home again until just after Christmas. I'm already planning on taking my parents to Europe over New Year's, so I won't be bothering to fly back to California next time. I will just have my company fly me to Italy instead. My ex doesn't have a lot of savings. She makes good money, but she likes nice things. I liked her having nice things, so I didn't mind subsidizing her life. Now she is stuck in a lease and has a car note that will eat up all her paycheck. Some of our friends think that leaving her in that situation without talking to her isn't fair, that she only got the apartment because she was counting on my money for the budget. They all acknowledge acknowledge that she is in the wrong for cheating. But they think I am screwing her over too much by just leaving her like I did. Cold turkey, so to speak. Do you guys think I owe her anything more? Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for kicking out my dad after he said he couldn't afford to feed me anymore? Throw away. Here's the backstory. 28M, got my own house now. Moved out at 18, not really by choice, my dad basically pushed me out. Our relationship's been rocky since then. He's always been a huge drinker and smoker, which caused plenty of issues back then. Fast forward, he lost his house a couple of months ago, didn't keep up with loan payments. So he calls me up, says he needs a place to stay while he gets back on his feet. I laid out a few ground rules, either pay rent, $400, or cover groceries, about $250 to $300, and absolutely no smoking in the house. He laughs, says I'm your father, I shouldn't have to pay. But I don't budge, so he reluctantly agrees to buy groceries. From the moment he moves in, it's just one problem after another. Leaves a mess everywhere, doesn't clean up, smokes inside even though I made it clear that's a no-go, and drinks like there's no tomorrow. Then, one day, I have a girl over, and he just has this meltdown over it. So I tell him, listen, if he can't respect my space, he'll have to find somewhere else to stay. Things settle for a bit, but last week, he hits me with I don't have the money to buy groceries this month. I'm like, why? He says, well, you eat a lot, and admits he spent all his cash on smokes and drinks. That was it for me. I was done with him acting like he owned the place, done with the flashbacks to dealing with him as a teen. I told him to pack up and leave. So, am I the asshole? I set clear boundaries, he didn't follow through. Edit, I never thought my post would garner so many reactions. I'm glad I'm not TA. And thank you all for your support. I'd like to clear out a few things. No, we didn't have a formal contract when he moved in. It was oral based. Kicking him out won't be easy, as police don't tend to offer much support to a son in relation to the father. The societal response is that a son should take care of his old parents. This was one of the reasons I agreed to take him in. Like if I could do something good for him, maybe he'd change his view about me. The feeling of being validated by my own dad after years of neglect was strong. NGL. I see now how foolish it was to take him in. How I'd get him out if he refuses to leave. He would go out to buy his supplies, I'd change locks the moment he leaves, and go out too. If he breaks anything, then it's cop time.